ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्यासम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंशऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। प्रज्ञां शुप्रदानैः स्थिरजरनिगरव्यापिभिर्व्याप्य लोकान् भुक्त्वा भोगान् सविष्टान् पुनरविधिषणो वासितान् कामजन्यान् पीत्वा सर्वान् विशेषान् स्वपिति मधुरभुङ् मायया भोजयन्नो मायासङ्ख्यं तुरीयं परममृतमजं ब्रह्म यत्तन्नतोऽस्मि। यो विश्वात्मा विदिजविषयान् प्राश्य भोगान् स्तविष्टान् पश्चाश्चान्यान् स्वपिति विभवान् ज्योतिषा स्वेन सूक्ष्मान् सर्वानेतान् पुनरभिशनैः स्वात्मनि स्थापयित्वा हित्वा सर्वान् विशेषान् विगतगुणगण प्रातुतौ न तुरीयः। ॐ इत्येतदक्षरमिदं सर्वं तस्योपव्याख्यानं भूतं भवद्भविष्यतीति सर्वम् ओङ्कार एव। यच्छान्यत्र कालातीतं तदप्योङ्कार एव। सर्वं ह्येत्मा अयमात्मा ब्रह्म सोऽयमात्मा चतुष्पात्। जागरितस्थानो बहिःप्रज्ञः सप्ताङ्ग एकोनविंशतिमुखः स्थूलभुक् वैश्वानरः प्रथमः पादः। स्वप्नस्थानो अन्तःप्रज्ञः सप्ताङ्ग एकोनविंशतिमुखः प्रविविक्तभुक् तैजसः द्वितीयः पादः। यत्र स्वप्नो न कञ्चन कामं कामयते न कञ्चन स्वप्नं न पश्यति तत् सुषुप्तं सुषुप्तस्थान एकीभूत प्रज्ञानगण एवमानन्दमय ह्यानन्दभुक् तेजोमुखः प्राज्ञस्तृतीयः पादः। एष सर्वज्ञः सर्वेश्वर सर्वेश्व एषान्तर्यामी एष योनि सर्वस्य प्रभवप्ययो हि भूतानाम्। न अन्धप्रज्ञं न बहिःप्रज्ञं नोभयदप्रज्ञं न प्रज्ञं न अव्यदृश्यम् अव्यहार्यम् अग्राह्यम् अलक्षणम् अचिन्त्यम् अव्यपदेशम् एकात्मप्रत्ययसारम् प्रपञ्चोपशमम् शान्तं शिवम् अद्वैतं चतुर्थं मन्यन्ते स आत्मा स विज्ञेयः. And from this class we will take सोऽयमात्मा अध्यक्षरम् ओङ्कारो अधिमात्रम् मात्रापादाश्च पात्रा च मात्रा अकार उकार मकार इति। जागरितस्थानो वैश्वानर अकारः प्रथमः पात्रा आप्तेरादिमत्वाद्वा प्राप्नोति ह वै सर्वान् कामान् आदिश्च भवति स एवं वेद। स्वप्नस्थानत् तैजस उकारो द्वितीया मात्रा उत्कर्षात् उभयत्वाद्वा उत्कर्षति ह वै ज्ञानसन्ततिं समानश्च भवति न ह्यब्रह्मकुले भवति य एवं वेद। सुषुप्तस्थान प्राज्ञो मकारस्तृतीया मात्रा मितेरपीतेर्वा मिनोति ह वै एवं इवा इदं सर्वम् अपीतिश्च भवति स एवं वेद. These are the 11 mantras and one more mantra. The last mantra is the amatraschatурtha अव्यहार्य प्रपञ्चोपशम शिव अद्वैत एवं ओङ्कारः आत्मैव संविशति आत्मना आत्मानं य एवं वेद. So Mandukya Upanishad, as we all know that by now, it is the shortest Upanishad and the most pregnant Upanishad as far as the philosophy of Advaita is concerned. We had the detailed discussion on the first two mantras where we said that Omiti etat aksharam idam sarvam tasya upakyanam bhutam bhavat bhavishyatiti sarvam omkara eva. So that first sentence is talking about Om is the aksharam, all this is. Tasya upavakyanam, the detailed discussion of this, which includes bhutam bhavat bhavishyat, the present, future, and the past. Sarvam omkara eva. So all of them are omkara alone. Then the second sentence says that yaschanyat trikaladidam tadapi omkara eva. Yat cha anyat trikaladit anyam yach. What is beyond the trikala means past, present, and future. Beyond that, what is there? Tatapi omkara eva. Even that is omkara only. So the first mantra was on the omkara, where we found that this was not at all referred by the Upanishad till now in the second to seventh mantra. It didn't touch Omkara at all. It started with the second mantra, which says, Sarvam hi etat Brahma, Ayam Atma Brahma, Soyam Atma Chatushpat. Sarvam hi etat Brahma. When in the Sarvam Omkara is the first sentence, in the second sentence it said that Sarvam hi etat Brahma. Everything is Brahma. So now this Upanishad has to link between the first sentence and the second mantra, because both places Sarvam Brahma, Sarvam Omkara. There are the two words which have been used in both explaining these two mantras. And in the second mantra it said, I am Atma Brahma. And then said, Soyam Atma Chatushpat. This Atma is indeed Brahma, which is a Mahavakya for the Advaitis. And this Atma, Sa Ayam Atma, Chatushpat, is to be understood in the fourfold or four aspects of it. Then the Upanishad straight away went to explain what is this Atma and Chatushpat in the Jagrat Swapna Sushupti and the state of seventh mantra, which is giving the Chaturtha. Chaturtham manyante sa Atma sa vitneyaha. It is what the seventh mantra said. So the second mantra to the seventh mantra is aspect of what is being told by the Upanishad as the experience of every one of us, and how it is related to the seventh mantra, which is talking about beyond the three, because we know ourselves only as limited individuals having waking, dream, and deep sleep. But beyond that, the Trikalatītam, beyond the three states of experience, Tatapi Omkara eva, Tatapi Brahma eva. That is what it is, all Brahma is about, which was explained by very cryptic and indicative or directive words by the seventh mantra, which is saying na anda prajnam na bahi prajnam na ubeda prajnam na prajnanaganam na prajnam. All these mantras, all these words were used for indicating that which cannot be indicated. And then the Upanishad understood that, the benevolent Upanishad, as we call it as, understood that there will be middling intellects and lower intellectual people who have not been able to do the introspection in the words of the Upanishad mantras which have been there in the seventh mantra. It is very difficult because we are talking about something which is indescribable using words, where the words have its own limitations. So how can anybody directly grasp the indicative meaning when the apparent meaning or the virtual meaning of the literary meaning of the word is not going any indication of what it can be, because it is all said in the negative way. Negative in the sense not as a criticism, but as not possible to explain type of a thing. na andaprajnam. It is not the awareness which is in the inner bosom which we are experiencing as the subtle or the memory, emotions, feelings, etc. are also andaprajna. So when it is being saying na andaprajna, we are not able to indicate as to where we should be looking for the answer or where to place it. To I know what it is being indicated about it. So to address to those people who have not been able to directly grasp the meaning of the seventh mantra or the second to seventh mantra, the import of the Upanishad, the benevolent Upanishad is giving a concession by bringing a word Om Ityetat Aksharamidam Sarvam. All this can be understood by the word Om. Now here we should understand that the word Aksharam has got two meanings. That which do not decay is one meaning, Naksharam Yasya. Or the other meaning is alphabet. Now, the word Aksharam indicated here, Om iti etat Aksharam idam sarvam. These indescribable or indeclinable or indecayable, non-decaying aspects of the letters indicated by the word Om is representing of Sarvam, which is Brahma. Sarvam etat Brahma is the second mantra. So we are now being given an anchor to meditate upon the finer aspects of Brahman, exactly like how we have been told by the seventh mantra, by negating the understanding which we were having about our own reality for a upadhi nimittam, or using a tool or an instrument, how to meditate upon the Omkara, which is representational for the Brahma or the Turiya Brahma, both are same. I'll come to that later. Now, how does the words of Omkara can be used to understand that waking, dream and deep sleep is all about in the mantra 8, 9, 10 and 11. So we will go through the mantras 8, 9 and 10 to how does these words of Akara, Ukara, Makara is what makes the word Om come out of, a composite formation to make the word Om. Now, that word is representing Brahma. And how does the Akara, Ukara, Makara come into play, or how should we understand these three things to know that how they are representing the three aspects of our thing, and how does the fourth pada, Chaturtham Manyante Sa Atma, Savitneya, where does that reside in the word Om, is to be understood by these mantras. While we are going into that, we should understand that there are certain aspects which we should remember from the Karika, which Yadaveda was telling that Prapancho yadi vidyeta nivarteta na samsheha. Maya matramidam dvaitam advaitam paramartata is a very important Karika. That is the 17th Karika before the 8th mantra. Prapanchaha yadi vidyeta. If the gross world is really existing, na nivarteta samsheha. It can never be nullified or negated. Since the prapancha is getting negated in our own experience when we go to the deep sleep, the whole world, including us, our own existence, our name, our body, our association, our own individuality is getting negated as in the experience of the deep sleep. Therefore, the prapancha is getting negated in our own experience on everyday basis or every time when we are into a sushupti avastha or the deep sleep state. Therefore, the Karika Gaudapada says that Maya Matramidam, this is only an appearance. Maya, the word used is not unreal. The word Maya, it doesn't mean unreal. That which is appearing but has no reality of its own is what is called Maya. Na vidyate sa Maya. Yasa na vidyate sa Maya. That which by independently it is not having an existence. That is what is Maya. When that is all the Dvaitam, all means all duality, when we scrutinize them in detail, we will know that the duality has no real existence. Advaitam Paramarthada. The non-dual substratum or awareness or existence is only reality. Vikalpo vinivarteda kalpido yadi kenachit. Ubadeshad ayam vado jnate dvaitam na vidyate. The 18th Karika says that all these vikalpa created by the Maya, when it is vinivarta, when it is being removed by the Upadesha, that is the time when the reality of Advaita is known. And when the Advaitam Paramarthata, that reality of Advaitam is known, Jnate Dvaitam na vidyate. When that is known, there is no place for the duality to exist. Now, how does that get negated or relieved by, if you are not understood by the Jagrat Swapna Sushupti, the Avastatraya Nirupanam, by analyzing our waking, dream and deep sleep, the Upanishad now enters into explaining what is it called is that Omkara Nirupanam. Omkara Nirupanam in the sense that it is using Omkara as a prop to explain the same Jagrat Swapna Sushupti as our experiences. How do we have to understand this aspect of Jagrat Swapna Sushupti merging or experiences to be analyzed similar to the words aka, a, u and ma in the Om is what it is to be understood by the 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th mantras. Before I go to the 8th mantra, for those who have not understood what akara, ukara, makara, the alphabets in Sanskrit Devanagari, A is mentioned as akara. The word kara is used to indicate the alphabet A. And ukara means it is only when the word ukara is used, there is no word ukara, but the ukara is the word for u. Just like when we say A for apple, the A4 is indicated to stand as a representational word alphabet, which is there inside the apple, the word. So, but definitely A is not apple, but the A can be seen inside apple. So the word used for is used in between A and apple. Same way, we in the Sanskrit they used word kara. Kara means the word alphabet A. Akara means alphabet A. Ukara means alphabet U. Makara means alphabet Ma. Now, the A and U are vowels. They are called swara in Sanskrit. Swara, swayam rajate iti swara. They can stand independently. They don't need to lean upon anything. The alphabet A can stand by itself. It doesn't need the support of any other thing. U also doesn't have to support. But that is not the case when it comes to Ma, Makara. The Ma cannot be uttered without a alphabet joined to it. Therefore, ma has actually two components to it. Ma and a put together is ma. The word mother, when we use the word mother in that ma is there, no? That ma has got m and a. That is ma and a. The ma alone is called ardhamatra, means half a syllable. Whereas a and u are purna or complete by itself, it is called one matra. So if you look at it, the word om, when a and u is coming side by side, it is called parasannikarsham. When they come together, the phonetic basic is that they merge together to form o. A and u you can say separately, but when they come together side by side, they have to merge together to become o. That is why in the Omkara we hear the word o. But o, when we are hearing, we should understand it is the mixture of or the joint alphabets of a and u. So a and e you get a. Same way like that, there are words which you get when alphabets which are generated in the vowels when two vowels come together. But that type of a join doesn't take place when the consonant comes from in the case of consonants. Consonant can come with alphabet, then they complete by itself, they stand by own like ma, pa, ba, all those things can. But when it is coming with another consonant, half syllable of the first consonant and the half syllable of the second consonant merge together. So that is called a combined yuktakshara or joined consonant word alphabet. In the case of Omkara, O is being a joined word of two alphabets of vowel nature. It has an independent existence. O can stand by itself. But ma cannot stand by itself. It needs to lean upon a vowel. So it joins with the O to complete the formation. Then it becomes Om. Because ma after that A doesn't come. Otherwise Oma would have come. But ma is not used, only ma is used. Therefore O plus ma, Om is coming. Why I am splitting and explaining this word is that the meditation which is being explained by the mantras need you to understand this thing. This is basically for people who are not familiar with the Devanagari or the Sanskrit syllables and understanding it. But those who are of Indian origin who knows the vernacular language, they will not have any problem in understanding that. So we have the three aspects of akara, ukara, makara, means alphabets a, u and ma. Makara, even though it is said ma, here the makara will have only the half syllable ma. So when all these two together, you get om. So the eighth mantra says that soyam atma adyaksharam onkaraha adimatram pada matra matrascha pada akara ukara makara iti. Now the mantra, the Upanishad mantra is defining the om is the adimatram. Adimatram, here the word adimatram is then one which has gone beyond the measures. Matra means measure. Adimatra means adikritya matra. It is beyond the three matras of akara, ukara, makara. But Omkara is beyond the three. That means there is a fourth aspect to it. Pada matra, matra cha pada. Pada matra means quarter is the measure and measure is in the quarters. So there is ananya beda. I mean, there is no difference between the alphabets and the measures. in the form of akara, makara, ukara. Akara, ukara, makara iti. These are the three alphabets which are being used. How does that Omkara is being said? Soyam Atma Adyaksharam. Adyaksharam, Adikritya Aksharam. Aksharam means, I told you, that which can have no decay, or it can be the word Aksharam, alphabet. Adyaksharam means that which is Adikritya Aksharam is the word meaning that stand means which is beyond the concept of decay. Now here if you look at the first three words, so I am Atma is exactly what is there in the second mantra. Soyam Atma Brahma. I am Atma Brahma. Soyam Atma Chatushpad. Saha I am Atma Chatushpad. Now this Atma should be understood in the Chatushpad. That Chatushpad or the fourfold aspect of Atma, which was told in the second mantra, standing for Om, is the same thing which is standing for Brahma, is explained by the Akara, Ukara, Makara, which are in the quarters by the word Omkara. This is the eighth mantra. Is indicating that now this Upanishad is going to take us through a process of meditation, of using the letters A, U, Ma and forming the Omkara and Adimatra, Adyaksharam, even beyond the three. Now, how does that formation come about? The seventh, eighth, ninth mantra says, Jagaridastanaha Vaishwanaraha Akara Pradama Matra Aptehe Adimatvad Apnodi Havai Sarvan Kaman Adischa Bhavati Ya Evam Veda. Vaishwanara, we know that Jagrat was explained in the third mantra as where the gross is experienced by us. The gross experiences is of the individual is called Vishwa and Vaishwanara in the cosmos, micro and macrocosmic. So here the Jagaridasthana, again referring to the experiences of the gross in nature, is represented by Akara to indicate Vaishwanara. Now, how does the alphabet Akara stand for Vaishwanara? Pratama Matra. Any language or any human being want to utter name or anything to him, the first which he has to do is to open his mouth. And the opening of the mouth is the indication of the word Akara. And Akara is happening, the first sound produced at the throat level, Kandasthanam. In the throat, when the air passes through, the sound which is produced when the mouth is open is Akara. Therefore, the first experience when we come out of the deep sleep is also the gross experiences. So, Vaishwanara or Vishwa experience of the Jagarat is indicated by the word Akara, which is a Pratama Matra, the first measure. Apte Adimatvad Va. Adimatvad being the first alphabet for uttering anything with the name. Any name to be uttered, you need to open your mouth, and therefore it is the Adimat, means the first syllable which will come out. And it is Apnodiha by Sarvan. All that which is experienced in the waking as Vishwa or Vaishwanara at the microcosmic level or macrocosmic level is pervaded by the opening of the mouth, means here representing that they are all pervaded by names and forms. The names and forms representing is what is we call it as Jagrat or the gross experience. And all kaman, all the desires one which is being done by that one who meditates upon that as a concentration, for him, all his desires, this is the word the enticing of the Upanishad is doing, forcing the people to do the meditation. Those who have not understood the import of the deep meaning of the Upanishad, to entice them, saying that their desires will be fulfilled. Ya evam Veda. Please understand that all your desires, who is meditating upon the Akara as Vaishwanara, who is coming in the form of Jagrat or the gross experience, is to be meditated as the Akara of the Omkara. In the Omkara, because only Jagrat is not our experience, only the waking is not, or the gross is not our experience. We have the subtle experience of the dream, or the subtle world, or the sushupti or the deep sleep, where there is no cognition of the subtle or the gross. But those who are gross in the level of their understanding, they will be enticed by this chanting of Akara. When they are chanting Omkara, their concentration will be on to the when it is coming. And those who are concentrating only on the as even though they are chanting as Om, but with the in highlighting of the Akara, for them, the Upanishad says that desires of the world, of gross world, will be the result. Then the next mantra says that Swapnasthanaha Taijasa Ukara Dvitiya Matra. The Dvitiya Matra, the second measure, is represented by the word Ukara, the word U, which is representing the Swapnasthana or the subtle experience of Taijasa and Hiranyagarbha. At the micro level, it is Taijasa. In the macro level, it is Hiranyagarbha. Both are represented by the word Ukara. Utkarshat Ubayatvat Utkarshati Havai Jnana Santatim Samanascha Bhavati Na Asya Abrahmavit Kule Bhavati Sa Evam Veda. What does it say? This Dvitiya Matra, the second measure, has got an Utkarsha. Utkarsha means superiority. Ubayatvad, between the two, because it is sandwiched between the non-experience of the deep sleep and the grossness of the world of waking. Therefore, it is the link between the gross and the non-experience of the deep sleep. Therefore, the reach of that is touching both, means it is pervading into the gross and pervading into the deep sleep, where the Ukara will dissolve in the Makara, where the subtleness, when it becomes feeble and feeble, you slip into the deep sleep. So you cannot really say where is the boundary for the Ukara, or where the boundary when it did leave the gross to become subtle. This is from our own experiences. When we look at, even in the waking, we are 60 to 70% time in the subtle world, either in the form of memories or daydreaming, or worried about the future, and anxious about the future and worried about what would happen to the past, and we are never in the present. Very little time is there. We are in the present, where we know the grossness of the waking world is understood. Most of our experience, even though we are in the Jagrat Avastha, it is pervaded by the Swapna Avastha, or the subtle aspect of the memory or the hallucination, daydreaming or imaginations. Therefore, there is a superiority for the Ukara. Because of the Utkarsha means superiority of this one. Also, Jnana Santati. Santati means continuity. The waking world is continuing into the dream world. Therefore, when we are seeing the subtle world also, What has been experienced in the waking world only comes majoritarily in the dream world or the subtle world. Our worries about the past and the anxiety of the future has components which are being gathered in the waking as reference or data for the subtleness to function. The subtleness per se cannot function without the references of what knowledge we have gathered in the waking. Therefore, there is a jnana santati, means continuity of the awareness or the knowledge of the waking pervading into the subtleness. But the subtleness, being the subtle in nature, has the superiority because it can pervade into the waking, and when it becomes diminished and nullified, it slips into the deep sleep. And one who meditates upon the ukara of the omkara as his priority or the subtleness, more into the subtle aspects of the omkara, na asya brahmavit kule bhavati. In his lineage, everyone will become knower of Brahman. Ya evam Veda. This is what is the benefit of doing this upasana, is what the Mandukya says that. So akara, you will get the gross world of your desires. When you are doing the ukara as your meditation for the omkara, the priority with the ukara or the subtleness, you are ensuring that there is no the persons who are all coming with subtle aspects of the mind, and they are able to logically and think more into that. Basically, creating an environment where people can think into subtle aspects of life. This is the 10th mantra is about. And the 11th mantra is about the Sushupta Sthana. Sushupta Sthana Prajna Makara Tritiya Matra Mite apite va minoti havai ya va idam sarvam apnoti cha bhavati ya evam veda. Sushupta sthana prajna makara tritiya matra. The third matra, tritiya matra, is represented by makara. Makara doesn't have the akara, so only ma is there. When we say om, the ending of the om is with the makara or the ma, which is not vivid, not explicitly heard by anybody, because we are some sort of a drooling or drowning. That sound drowns in that, into that humming. That is what is the makara of that. Something similar to what we are slipping into the deep sleep. We never know when we slept, when we slipped into the deep sleep. Same way, when the omkara, when it is being uttered, nobody can understand exactly when did you stop the omkara, uttering of the omkara. That is that there is a similarity between the matra of the tritiya matra, and that is what it is leading to. They're representing the sushupta sthana, means there is no grossness nor subtleness, but it is almost like fading into a deep sleep state. Mite apite va. Now, the mita and apita, these are the two words used here. That is, mita is to measure. Now, here this word is used by the mite and apite va, is used in the Upanishads to represent that is the, what you call, the base or the vessel in which the subtle and the gross gets merged into it, like a measuring jar in which there is emptiness. At the same time, there is a limitation for the emptiness in which you can fill up the grain. So the measuring jar looks like as if filled by that. Basically, what it is says that it is that in which you can merge the gross and subtle, and from that this gross and subtle comes out again. So mita is a measure, and apita is it into which dissolution takes place. And one who meditates like this, For him, he is in a state where he has totally dissolved the gross and subtle, and it becomes the vessel or the container or in which he has dissolved his own individuality in the Omkara Upasana. He no more identifies with the ego, no more identifies with the individuality, nor with his world of experiences of the gross, nor with the world of experiences of the subtle. Both the subtle world and the gross world is merging and vanishing in his bosom when he does the Omkara Makara on the thing. And when that such a Makara is happening, what happens is that he is the one who is dissolved all his world of experiences, and therefore he crosses over beyond the third into the Amatra. Now that fourth Amatra is being explained in the 12th mantra, whereas in the Karika, if you look at it, I'm just taking the three Karikas which are related to the three mantras because they are basically paraphrased the same words of the mantra in the form of Karika, that's all. Vishwasya tu avivekshayaam adi samanyam utkadam matra asampratipatto yasyad api samanyam evacha. Apti samanyam evacha. Now the letters which are used in the case of Vishwa, the ninth mantra, Jagaridasthana, what is being Akarastavavati, that is being explained here. This Vishwa is identified by the letter Aviksham, Adi Samanyam, is the first letter which is being used in that. Utkadam Matra, that is which is primarily that is the one with which every word or everything can be named or experienced. And it pervades every name and form. So therefore there is pervasiveness of that, the akara of the grossness in all our experiences. So we cannot think of Vishwa or the world for us, whether it is Jagra, Swapna, Sushupti, it is being analyzed, assimilated, logically investigated, all from the waking world only, in the Jagaridasthana. Therefore, Vishyasya tu Avivakshaya. That is the reason why the Vishwa or the Akara, which is representing the Vishwa, has got the Utkadam or the superiority for the analysis part of it. And all perceivedness, that even the experiences of the dream can be analyzed not in dream, but only in the waking. Even the deep sleep, when we don't have an experience, that can be analyzed, investigated, thought upon, and dealt upon only in the waking. Therefore, the Vishwa, because of the per se pervasiveness to the other two states possible from the point of view waking, has this control over the analytical aspects of it. Taijasya tu avijnana utkarsha drishyate spudam matra asampratipatto syad ubayatvam tadavidam. Virtually, this is the repetition of the 9th and 10th mantra, where Taijasa is being explained. The letters U in the Omkara representing Taijasa to be identified for, again the superiority is because of it has both one side the gross, other side is the deep sleep. So it is the sandwich between the gross and the deep sleep. So therefore there is this middleness which is there for the Sushupta Taijasa, and therefore the Taijasa has pervasiveness into the gross and the subtle and the thing. And the 21st mantra says, Makara bhave pratnyasya manasamanyam utkadam matra sampratipatto laya samanyam evacha. Now the Makara bhava, when the letter Ma is used in the Pratnya to represent Pratnya, It is the measure where, as I explained in the previous mantra for the 11th mantra, it is a container or the measure in which both the dissolution of the gross and subtle takes place and where we have no experiences. So that represents this. Now comes the actual upasana. How does we do this? The Upanishad doesn't instruct the upasana per se, but having given the nature of akara, ukara and makara, the fourth aspect has not been told. So amatra is the reason. Amatra means where there is no matra or no alphabet. The fourth quarter, which is also is used as amatra, is because there is no akara, ukara, makara in that one. Beyond the akara, ukara, makara is standing for yaschanyat trikaladidam tatapi onkara eva. Even that is onkara, because onkara chanting cannot exist unless the substratum of silence as a base is not there. The ah, when you hear the ah, it is the substratum of the absence of the ah in which the ah can be heard, u can be heard, ma can be heard. So when you chant om, after om, there is a gap between the next om comes. This gap between one om to another om is called the amatra, where there is no matra or no measure, or no akara, ukara, makara is there. That is what is representing what is the substratum of the turiya, or where we discussed about in the mantras of second onwards to the seventh mantra, where we said no, in which when the gross appears, in that awareness which cannot be described, which is not accessible, in which the gross objects when appear, we call it as waking. Same way, the akara, when the silence it comes, we start uttering the word om. When the gross, subtle and the dissolution of the three happens, we are slipping back to the same thing. So, if you look at the Omkara and our experience of Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti and the Turiya, in which the Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti can exist, the Ekatma Pratyasaram, that I, which is the Turiya, Atma, I am Atma, Brahma, this Brahma, when the Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti comes, the individuality is felt. But when the three are dissolved, there is no individuality. Still, when we, as a witness to that I had a waking, I had a dream, I had a deep sleep, so I have to be different from the waker, dream and deep sleep. That I, which is devoid of the waking, dream and deep sleep, is that essence of Ekatma Pratyasaram. And when does it happen? Prapanchovashamam. The prapancha, what is the prapancha? Prapancha, or the world of experiences, are the waker, dream and the deep sleeper. When that upasalamam, or when the dissolution of that takes, when the Omkara utterance stops, in both the cases we are landing in the same substratum of, it is not a shunyata. The Buddhists understood that it is a shunyata. If it is shunyata, it will not be known. Because shunyata is something which can never be known. The shunyata which by mistake we call as shunyata is the absence of something. The absence is abhava, not shunya. So abhava means absence of bhava, or absence of the existence of something, is what we call it as shunyata. But shunyata never happened, because even that is known, that the silence after the om is existing, in which the next om comes. Same way, the witness which is knowing the waking, dream and deep sleep is still present, which is saying that I had a waking experience, I had a dream experience, or I had a deep sleep. I knew my experiences were changing to me, so therefore I am separate from that. That is the substratum. So this is what it has to be understood from the point of view when we say that how the Onkara Upasana and our experience of Jagra Swapna Sushupti have to be done as an indicative of when you chant Akara, Ukara, Makara as Om, we don't hear the Akara, Ukara, Makara separately. But transition is indescribable. When did the A become the U to become the O to end up with the Ma, Om? We cannot say, but we can definitely say that it is in that silence that I uttered the Om, or it is in that substratum of non-verbal Om, the absence of the verbal Om. I could place myself in that so that I can see the Om appearing when I am chanting in the mind or when I'm chanting loud. That merging back into that silence or that substratum is taking me back to my Turiya state, or exactly what happens in the Jagrata Swapna Sushupti as seen from happening in me or in my awareness when the waking dream and deep sleep happens. I am the one who is seeing it. I am not part of the waking. I'm not part of the dream, not the part of the deep sleep. I am the observer of that. Same way, the silence is the observer of the Akara, Ukara, Makara, which becomes the Om and becomes silent again. This cycle of coming, going, and coming, going is what is called, we understand that as life. Prapanchopashamam, when it happens, what remains is Ekatma Pratyasaram, Akham, Aham, that Sa Atma Sa Vitneya. That is your nature. That is what is should be understood, is what the Upanishad has been telling that. First, I explaining our experiences. Now here giving the prop of the word akara, ukara, makara. When you want to use it as a prop, because some people cannot mentally conceive the dissolution of breaking into dream and dream into deep sleep and the beyond the three. Those people can use the prop of akara, ukara, makara, but you will not be able to separate out when akara became ukara or ukara merged into makara to become a silence again. But when you hear the word omkara, should be able to understand this is how the experiences of when the omkara comes, the waking world comes, the world of experience comes. When the omkara becomes silent, I am all by myself. I am the turiya. I am the awareness in which the world of experiences appeared and disappeared. This is how the meditation has to be practiced. Now with Karika from 22 onwards to 28, and in between we have the 12th mantra, which is talking about the Turiya aspect of it, which we'll be dealing in the Friday class. So I'll stop it here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you. Dhanyavada, everyone.